Binge the full week of The Ray Taylor Show ad-free over at inspireddisorder.com/plus.
What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
Red Notice, new movie out on Netflix starring The Rock, starring Ryan Reynolds, starring Gal Gadot, directed by Rawson Marshall Thurber, who also wrote the movie. Most known for Dodgeball and Skyscraper. Dodgeball probably the best thing this guy's done, in my opinion. Some people may have liked Skyscraper. I didn't. This movie, comedy, action. Obviously, we have Ryan Reynolds doing his Ryan Reynolds thing, which I myself am exhausted seeing Ryan Reynolds in movies doing his Ryan Reynolds thing, which is basically different versions of Deadpool. Not something that really is new for Ryan Reynolds. I also watched Harold and Kumar go to White Castle this week, and he is a character in that, which I didn't even realize, didn't remember. And he's basically doing the same thing he does in this movie, does the same thing he does in every movie, which is just his Ryan Reynolds quippy, funny, whatever. But I'm tired of it. I'm kind of tired of it. And this movie didn't really do much to help that situation. I'm also not a big fan of The Rock or Gal Gadot. I think they're both, they're okay, right? If they're for a movie like this, all three of these people are okay for what this movie is. It's an action comedy. It's not like breaking any boundaries as far as the genre of action or comedy. It's like a heist movie, kind of. In my opinion, it's a combination of Mission Impossible and Fast and the Furious, with maybe a dash of Ocean's 11. But all of those movie franchises do those things better than this movie does. So it is what it is. Apparently, it's the biggest release Netflix has ever had, according to Dwayne Johnson's Instagram this morning. So I'm not surprised. It is kind of that middle of the road, hitting all of the four quadrants, possibly, maybe. You got Gal Gadot, who's probably bringing in the female fans of action movies from Wonder Woman, which the first Wonder Woman was okay. The second Wonder Woman was not good, in my opinion. You got The Rock, who's one of the most popular actors in working in entertainment today, who I feel is, if he wasn't as large and a presence as he was, and have like the little dash of charm that he has, I don't think he would be. He's not a good actor. He's never really doing any acting in anything. His performance, as well as Gal Gadot's, is very flat in this movie, and very noticeable when contrasted with Ryan Reynolds' performance. So that being said, there is a turn that happens. There's an event that happens at the end of this movie, which I'm not going to spoil at this moment. But there's something that happens at the end of the movie that does make me like the movie. Just like it. Because I didn't really like it. It was okay. Right? There's some cool drone shots. There's a museum chase scene that reminded me of Jackie Chan, but not done in at all as good as any Jackie Chan movie, because the advantage of Jackie Chan is that he does his own stunts. Where they're clearly doing a Jackie Chan. It feels very much like an homage to a lot of Jackie Chan movies, but done in a way where they have to cut and edit around a bunch of actors trying to do what Jackie Chan has done for his entire career. So not as good. Every time Gal Gadot shows up, it's like, okay, another flat performance. Same thing with The Rock. It's like, okay, he's, as an action star, I feel bad because this dude moves slow. Like him running next to Ryan Reynolds, there's a clear and present difference between the two actors' abilities to move their bodies. Now, I know The Rock is full of muscle. So he's clearly not working on the cardio aspect of his fitness regimen. He's looking to bulk up in every way possible, which probably doesn't help with running, which in action movies happens to be being like athletic and like being able to maneuver and like do things is a big part of an action movie. And when you're a big lumbering guy, it's like, okay, like you're physically intimidating, but you know, once you start moving, it's almost laughable. It's like the fight in Princess Bride with the giant and Dread Pirate Roberts, you know? It's just like he just run around behind you and grab on your neck, choke you out. But other than that, it was, like I said, it was a fine, okay action movie. The turn at the end made me enjoy it, like on a mild level. The bad guy in this, which there's multiple bad guys. I mean, the overall premise is there's these 3 eggs, these fancy eggs that have been split up, and they're worth a ton of money, and different people want to collect these eggs because then they'll be worth a lot more if you have the complete set of these decorative eggs. And it starts off with Ryan Reynolds making a fake egg. And the way they're making this fake egg is like the least believable way to make a high value egg. Like he's dripping paint on it. He's like overspraying with a spray paint gun. He's like, at no point does the making of montage of this fake egg look at all believable whatsoever. But I understand what movie we're in. I let that go. So now we're at this museum. Ryan Reynolds is trying to do the egg swap. Well, The Rock is there from America, you know, because America's got to have somebody. There's no reason for an American to be there, but you know, the American is there. The Rock is there to make sure, and of course, he points out that the egg's already been stolen. So there's this big chase you have The Rock chasing after Ryan Reynolds, which is one of the many times in this movie where you realize The Rock is not a good runner. He's not like, he is so far from a Jackie Chan type of an action actor. Like Jackie Chan is dynamic, athletic. He can move, he can run, he can jump, he does his own stunts. The Rock just kind of like moves his body as fast as he can. Sometimes he falls down and like it's just, I don't know. It's kind of sad to see. It's almost like Robert De Niro in The Englishman doing that curb stomping of the guy, where he's supposed to be playing some 20 or 30-year-old guy, but clearly he's like an 80-year-old trying to beat up somebody. It is like the most pathetic thing to see on film. And The Rock trying to be this action athletic dude is kind of sad. But anyway, so of course Ryan Reynolds gets away. They catch him. He goes to jail. But then, The Rock, he's been framed. So now The Rock is in jail. And guess who his cellmate is in jail, like out of all the prisons in the world. Out of all the prisons just in the United States, this prison isn't in the United States. Obviously, of course, it's some weird like Russian type of location. But out of all the places The Rock could have ended up, of course he's bunkmates with Ryan Reynolds. Of course. A little over 4 years ago, I started The Many Faces. It's an ongoing series of abstract ink portraits. Each piece is improvised. Each piece is released daily. Start collecting now. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com/TMF. That stands for The Many Faces. And save yourself 25% when you use coupon code RTS. That stands for The Ray Taylor Show, because that's what you're listening to, and I love you. So I want you to save 25% when you use that coupon code. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com/TMF and use coupon code RTS to save 25% when you start collecting one of over 1,600 original ink paintings. By myself, I made them. Support me. I love you. Back to the show. So now The Rock, who is this like law enforcement person, is starting to buddy with Ryan Reynolds, who's this thief guy. And they're being tipped off by this person called the Pope. There's an Interpol officer that's after them, that seems to be the only kind of actual law enforcement in this entire movie. So it's like, so then the movie is Ryan Reynolds and The Rock. They're like, okay, we're going to team up and we're going to get these eggs before the other people do, despite the fact they both have different motives, of course. And Gal Gadot's like this third master thief who just keeps showing up randomly every time they are around an egg. She shows up. A lot of this stuff ends up making more sense at that turn I was saying at the end of the movie. But watching the movie, not knowing there is that moment, it's like, okay, whatever. Fight scenes aren't that great. I don't really buy these hand-to-hand fight scenes. I'm not buying it. Ryan Reynolds taking his jacket off to do a Jackie Chan, like, fighting with the jacket thing. It's like, no. This was done decades ago. Way better. Way better. Without all of this editing and trying to make it look, it's like, no. It's like there's actors out there that can actually do that stuff. Why don't you get actors that want to train and actually do that stuff to do that stuff? But whatever. There's like a chase scene through tunnels, which I don't know if you've ever seen Fast and the Furious 4, but it's like similar type of a thing where it's like, why is there a car chase in tunnels? Not like tunnels like with a paved road. These are like tunnels used for mining. And these cars, which in this movie are World War II cars that not only can drive effortlessly through these mining tunnels, but just work at all in general. You have all these World War II cars that have been tucked away since World War II, and they start right up. One of the dumbest of those cars is a car that's been reinforced to be bulletproof and bomb-proof and all that stuff. But it's a convertible. You want to talk about one of the dumbest things to ever exist is a bulletproof tank-like vehicle that has no roof. There is no protection above like your nipples, from your nipples up. Zero bulletproof, zero bomb-proof. It's like it is the most worthless. Even if you put the rag top up on that car, it's not going to protect anybody from anything. It's just probably a lot heavier with the fact that everything is so tank-like. The thing starts right up, drives perfectly through these mining tunnels, whatever. It's just kind of weird seeing what was a bad scene in Fast and the Furious. One of the worst kind of racing scenes, an action scene involving cars. One of the worst looking scenes in that entire franchise is this cave chase scene, which is in this. There's a burn on Vin Diesel for some reason. Like this movie feels like The Rock is like trying to do some kind of diss track against Fast and the Furious, which he is a part of the Fast and the Furious franchise. So, I don't know. Clearly, this movie is set up to be the first of a franchise of films, which I would not mind seeing, right? I didn't hate this movie. It became likable once the turn happens at the end, when you're given more information at the end of the movie, and it kind of makes a lot of the criticism I had make more sense. But it has a lot of problems. The villain in this guy that Gal Gadot is like warming up to is like this tiny dude who has like apparently some superpower to choke people. His special move is to choke people. And there is a scene where this tiny human has his one hand around the neck of The Rock, which if you wanna just take a bit of reality into that situation, the amount of The Rock, if you saw The Rock's neck, it is larger than his head. It is probably larger than most grown men's thighs. And I'm supposed to believe this tiny little man with his tiny little hands are going to wrap enough around the Rock's throat in any kind of way to block blood or oxygen. Like this dude is not doing anything to the Rock. But of course, you got it. That's probably the best acting the Rock has ever done, pretending to be choked by this tiny little man with tiny little hands who is supposed to be this scary person that just has a lot of money. Like billionaires are also like spending time training their secret choking hand technique. Maybe when they're single, they're practicing doing a lot of reps choking things, but the things that they're choking are a lot smaller than the Rock's neck. Anyway, that was like, okay, sure, the Rock's getting choked right now. There's a scene where Ryan Reynolds and the Rock are escaping the prison that they're in, right? This prison where they just happen to be bunkmates. And they just happen to be part of this crew that's like rebuilding a wall randomly. That ends up being the wall that they pull a rock out of and it falls down. That's fine. I'm fine with that. My problem with that scene is one of the guards that has a rocket launcher, right? Because after they got through that wall, then there's like a little suspension bridge that goes to a helicopter, which the helicopter obviously is their getaway vehicle. Because why not? Why not have a vehicle that flies away, mildly accessible for any of the prisoners willing to just get on the other side of this wall? So whatever. This rocket launcher, right? Ryan Reynolds is in the helicopter because, of course, he can fly a helicopter. The Rock is doing his best impersonation of somebody who can run across this suspension bridge. Now, if you were a person that wanted to stop these people from flying away and you had a rocket launcher, I'm going to guess you are not going to be aiming that rocket launcher at the bridge. Because you already have somebody in the helicopter, and shooting the bridge is only really going to kill the Rock, maybe. Probably not, because he is the star of this film. But let's just say this rocket launcher guy doesn't know that he's in a movie. You're going to shoot the rocket launcher at the fucking helicopter, not the suspension bridge. But that's not what this guy does. So guess what? Guess what happens? They get away. Because The Rock has super jumping ability at this point. He jumps into the helicopter. Okay, fine. We're in an action movie that has comedy, which the only comedy is really given by Ryan Reynolds doing the Ryan Reynolds thing, which is boring. I am tired of. There's a scene where they fight a CG bull. I don't know why. Like, there's real guns are being used on movie sets, and they can't get a real bull for like a scene. Like, I understand there's a scene where the bull runs and runs into the Rock. Okay, the Rock goes flying. Okay, you could have done that with a bull and a stunt guy. Get one of the jackass guys, pay them some money, put them in a, you could just CG the Rock body around them. But a CG bull. Okay, whatever, CG bull. Join Inspired Disorder Plus today. Head on over to inspireddisorder.com/plus to join. Membership includes members-only discounts and deals. You get access to the Ray Taylor Show completely ad-free, as well as bonus episodes. You get access to the complete live painting archive. You also get access to every single podcast ever produced by Inspired Disorder, hosted by Ray Taylor. You get access to Ray Taylor's personal blog, as well as the opportunity to ask me any questions. So if you want to start a podcast, you're into art, ask me anything. And so many more things are being added every day to Inspired Disorder Plus. So sign up today, become a member, head on over to inspireddisorder.com/plus and become an Inspired Disorder Plus member today. This bad guy, the super choke guy, is doing a voice that sounds like David Attenborough plus Bane. It's like if David Attenborough played Bane in the Dark Knight movies, that is what this guy is trying to do for his voice. And the weird part isn't even that that's his voice. The weird part is that there's a David Attenborough reference during that bull scene. So it's like somebody on set, probably Ryan Reynolds, maybe it was like I could see a lot of these like funny lines being improvised by Ryan Reynolds in the moment. But like, did nobody hear what the bad guy was doing with his voice? Because it's clearly a David Attenborough / Bane type of a voice. And then they do a David Attenborough reference, which is weird. Yeah, it's there's just a lot of scenes in this where I was like, oh, what? But whatever. Spoilers. I'm gonna talk about this turn that happens at the end. The one thing in this movie that made me enjoy the movie. Not that I wasn't enjoying it, but like actually made me like it. It's like, oh, okay. Like that explains most of it explains enough of the shortcomings of this movie for me to enjoy it. So spoilers. So that twist that happens at the end of the movie is when you find out that The Rock and Gal Gadot have been in on it the whole time. Makes sense why she shows up all the time. Makes sense why, he's able to do things, she's able to do things. It's the only time that those two actors, Gal Gadot and The Rock, actually have life to themselves. It is the first time in this entire runtime of this movie where both of these actors actually feel like people, like in it, like, oh, they're actually characters. They're acting now. The flat twist happens, like, oh, there's life injected into these two actors, these two overpaid actors. But and then Ryan Reynolds kind of gets, he gets like the comeuppance kind of. But they're also like teaming up. I mean, by the end of this thing, it's like, oh, the Red Notice is like the highest level of being wanted. Or whatever. It's very much like being disavowed in the Mission Impossible movies. And it's all their profiles being stamped with the Red Notice. And they're off to do their next caper of whatever that is. Which I'm fine with. I don't know how good a sequel is going to be, considering the fact that we know that they're all in on it together now. It wasn't like the Mission Impossible moments of this, like when they go to a party and they have to like... this rich guy, the villain with the one-handed choke special abilities, has one of the eggs. He's super rich, and they're at this party, and there's like this Mission Impossible scene where they have to go through all of these levels of security to even get into the room where the egg is. And even that feels like a weak, just sad, like poor man's version of Mission Impossible. Like the tension there, that never felt like there was any tension. It felt pretty effortless that they were able to do all of the things. Somehow a tablet had a screen on both sides of it. I don't know. Because they have this like augmented reality thing where they had to do, all the biometric things to get inside. You have to have the fingerprint on the phone and then the code that gets changed every 6 minutes. And then you got to do a voice and face recognition. And how they did that was augmented reality on a tablet. And you had on one side of the tablet, you had Ryan Reynolds looking at a screen where he's typing things in, right? And the front-facing camera facing him. On the other side of the tablet, facing the biometric scanner, is another screen. It's like I've never seen a tablet that has 2 full screens on both sides of it. Because on the other side of the screen, you have the hand chokey guy saying whatever the passphrase is or whatever in his voice, in his Attenborough Bane voice. So yeah, there were aspects of this movie I did not like, and the weird like shots at Vin Diesel is weird. It's like, okay, Vin Diesel isn't like the roided up juice guy, fake wrestler that The Rock is. Clearly, he's like downgraded as far as the physique of an action guy. But the Fast and the Furious franchise is fun. And The Rock is part of it. And it's weird that there would be a joke taking... And Ryan Reynolds was in the spin-off Fast and the Furious movie. It's weird. It's just, I don't know. This movie was okay. I'm not surprised it's super successful. It's like those... It's any movie. Seems like action movies, you get big names, right? Which they got. They got big popular names. Action movie. It does look good. It filmed very well. Cinematography is great. The drone shots are pretty fun. A lot of cutting, a lot of editing to make these people look like action stars. But you get that. You get like just a whatever plot. And then, if it shoots through the middle, it's not too heady, it's not too dumb, it looks good, then you're going to be popular. I don't know. I don't know, man. But yeah, Red Notice on Netflix. It's okay. I would imagine it's worth a watch. It's worth a watch. It's not like there was nothing about this action movie that made me go, that was cool. Everything that like all of these moments that seemed interesting are just done better in so many other movies. So it's and I really don't care for Gal Gadot's acting. Don't care for The Rock's acting. I am so tired of Ryan Reynolds' thing that he does in movies all of the time. Every movie, it's just this Ryan Reynolds thing. It could be Free Guy. It could be Deadpool. It could be whatever. He's doing the Ryan. It could be Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle, and he's just doing his Ryan Reynolds thing. Kind of tired of it. But yeah. It's okay. It's okay. Red Notice on Netflix. Check it out. New episodes of The Ray Taylor Show come out every single day. Subscribe on YouTube and everywhere our podcasts are found. Binge the full week over at inspireddisorder.com/plus. Buy Ray Taylor Show merch over at inspireddisorder.com. And follow the show on Instagram at Ray Taylor Show. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!